I felt this call.
Mhm.
And the call I felt, because by that time I had fully and completely come to terms with the teachings of the 12 steps and the teachings of New Thought, and come to a place where there was no dichotomy there. There was no separation there. Those two teachings could be merged quite nicely into a very powerful way of living.
Welcome to We Be the Change and this second segment of the series, A Fearlessly Feral Life with Reverend Karen Linsley. Ever hit rock bottom and wondered if your way of thinking may have had a part in what got you there? In this episode, New Thought, a powerful call into the heart of recovery, we are digging into how shaking up your beliefs can create the spark that lights the way out of the darkness of addiction. Whether you're clawing your way back, standing with someone who is, or just curious about what a fearlessly feral life can look like, you're in the right place. Let's see what happens when we muster our courage to open up, to consider something new.
You had asked me to talk a little bit about recovery. I got into recovery because I had nowhere else to go, basically. My family did an intervention. Back then, interventions were huge. And I got sober in 1986, by the way. So they sent me off to a treatment center. Now, here's the first of many. I want to use the word miracle, but in New Thought, we don't believe in miracles. We believe this is the way it happens as a result of consciousness.
Yeah.
Well, it was somebody's consciousness. It wasn't mine, because my consciousness was pretty screwed up at the time. But I went into treatment and didn't know it until after I'd been there for a while. I went into treatment on Thanksgiving Day that year. And to this day, I get emotional and sometimes teary when I think of that. And to this day, Thanksgiving Day is my most favorite holiday. I celebrate it by cooking a full-on traditional Thanksgiving turkey dinner and invite all my friends in recovery to join me, especially people that I consider orphans, which are people who, for one reason or another, don't have any family to celebrate with.
Yeah.
And I said, come on over, sit here. Here's some food. My love language is feeding people food. So
I can relate to that.
anyway, I got into recovery and I got out, and they immediately sent me off to Alcoholics Anonymous, where I went and still go to this day. And then you can't rely on anyone for anything, including God, because there is no God. So, that was my upbringing. And so I knew where to go. And even though I wasn't interested in churches, here's the deal with Centers for Spiritual Living. We are primarily a teaching order. We teach. That's what we do. We teach. That's what we do. Church is secondary.
Well, and it's also a belonging place, or at least that's my experience of Centers for Spiritual Living, that if someone comes in and they lean a little this way or they lean a little that way theologically, it's fine. You lean any way you want. Just come in and have a seat here next to me. But it's a very accepting, including, warm place where there's really no agenda for anybody. You're just completely welcomed, truly welcomed. And I like that.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. We are, the expression is open at the top, and that's part of that. Yeah. And inclusive. We are very inclusive.
Very, yeah.
Which for me emanates outward into life. So anyway, I started taking classes, took every class they offered. The first class I took was a class called Practical Mysticism. And I knew from that first class that I was going to go on to become a practitioner, which is like a licensed spiritual coach. And so I did. I became a practitioner.
And I want to say that's not a light thing where you kind of just go part-time for a few weeks. How long and how many hours of being in classes and being in a program did it require for you to become a practitioner?
4 years.
4 years.
It was 2 years of required prerequisite courses just to get to the 2-year program of study that it takes to become a practitioner. And then some people can do those required classes in a shorter period of time. but I was always working full time. So it took me a little longer. Some people can get all those required courses done in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
So it was 4 years. I became a practitioner. I was very, very happy. Still going to AA, but starting to apply the principles of New Thought in my life. Although still thinking, okay, I got New Thought over here and it teaches this, and I got the 12 steps over here and it teaches that, and they're kind of separate, but that's okay. I have found a way to make both of them work in my life and to merge them, and I was good with that. And then people started poking at me to go to ministerial school, which I had no interest in, because remember, I don't like church. I don't want to be a minister. But fortunately, in Centers for Spiritual Living, there's other ways to do ministry. And you mentioned it in my intro.
Yeah.
There's interim ministry, and I do interim ministry work and go in, and I get to do all the stuff I learned as a practitioner, which is grief work and healing work and forgiveness work and all that gnarly stuff that no one likes to do, but they have to do it if the community wants to change their consciousness enough to set themselves up to attract their new forever minister. They've got to heal from that. So I love that work. I love it. It's challenging. It's difficult. They don't want to do it ever. And so it takes time for me to go and start poking at them. So eventually they become willing to do it.
Well, you have that capacity. So many of us, we experience horrendous, sometimes horrific things in our lives. And we're like, why? Why did that have to happen? You know? And then at some point further down the line, we realize that when we come up against a big challenge that most people would walk away from, and we have no resistance whatsoever because we're very familiar with it. And energetically, it's not really that bad. You know, it's something that we've seen through, and we actually have gleaned some wisdom that might come in handy. And for someone like you, this is why you went to school. This is why you were prompted to step into a lot of sacrifices to receive this training. And here it is time and time again as an interim minister presenting itself as, okay, well, this is why you learned that. This is why you learned this. I love it that it's so far beyond a classroom. It's your life. And that is actually something that I feel is really valuable with communities like the Centers for Spiritual Living. It's a lot of things, but one of those things is a refueling station for real life, where we not just get through it by the skin of our teeth, but through the teachings, a light is put on in the room where we can say, oh, wow, it's good this really complicated, intense thing is happening. Because otherwise, this other opportunity behind it would never be known. And you as the interim minister, it's almost like sometimes you see a waterfall, and behind the waterfall is this beautiful cavern with treasures and things. You know what I mean? Hey, everybody, look behind the waterfall.
There's treasure behind that waterfall.
Right. Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Well, I remember years ago, you were speaking somewhere. It might have been the first time I ever heard you. And you had a handout that I still have. It was kind of a brochure on New Thought steps that were like AA principles, but using words that are more palatable to different people. And I thought, wow, what a cool thing, because I'm like you. Some of those words really just didn't ring my bell. I liked the rephrasings that you brought out. So that's really cool. And right there, very practical. Oh, you're a practical person.
I can be, yeah. Oh, very sometimes when I have a practical side. Yeah,
you do. And did you write a book also? Because I haven't read the book that goes with, but I think I saw it on Amazon that you have a book. Is it called New Thought?
It's called The New Thought Journey Through the 12 Steps. And this is my first book. And it popped right out of me as soon as I graduated from ministerial school. And my goal was to create a way that people could get all of the gifts that are so rich from the recovery process, that they were getting stuck on words like God is a he figure, God is an outer figure, or the word powerless, which is huge for people in New Thought, because one of our foundational principles in New Thought is that our thoughts have power. And so if we are manifesting something that isn't to our liking, we need to go within and change our thinking, because that's where it started, where Albert Einstein, it's attributed to him, but then some sources say, nope, he didn't say that. But I like to think he said it, that you cannot change a situation with the same thinking that created it.
Yeah.
And so that's new thought in a nutshell.
Well, there you go. I was going to ask you if you could help us understand more succinctly the concept of new thought, what that encompasses. And there you go.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff. Boiled down, the common denominator is change your thinking to change your life, because your thoughts have power. And the reason they have power is through the other foundational principle we teach called oneness. And oneness says that we are one with God. It is one with us. Now, here's the other thing that I love to expand upon, but I won't now, but because we're on a different topic. But if that's true, if God is everywhere present and we are a part of God and it is a part of us, then that means you and I are connected. That means you and I are connected with everyone in the entire world.
Yep.
And they are connected with us. That means there's this huge mass human race consciousness that is playing a part in things. And then things tend to get pretty complicated from there. So those are the two basic principles of new thought. The other thing to remember about new thought is that in our teaching, Science of Mind, what we have done is take the basic principles from generations of teachers and wisdom people from science, psychology, philosophy, and religion, all the world's religions. We took out all of that and boiled it down and condensed it into what is today called the Science of Mind teaching. And my specialty is spiritual psychology. That's my specialty. Some people's specialty is all the world's religions and taking them and teaching people how those religions apply through a new thought lens. And because I wasn't raised in that, I never even owned a Bible until I went to ministerial school. I had to buy a Bible to go through school. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy a Bible. And I still don't use my Bible much, but I still have it. And yeah, so that's new thought in a nutshell.
Well, and there's a richness there that we can kind of almost stand back and behold, that everybody's welcomed at the table. Indigenous wisdom here at the table. Eastern religions here at the table. I mean, not only just accepted, but warmly welcomed. And sometimes there is a topic at hand that we really need to be in with all fours. And different people and leaders and sacred scriptures from all over the world, they show up and they're right there. Because that wisdom is so needed right here. It's cataclysmic time that we're living in. It's timeless and it's present, and all connected, one and all in one. And here we are. And it's a very meaningful juncture, intersection that we're in right now.
Yes, it is. Yeah, there's a lot of change afoot, a lot of stuff going on.
And as you were sharing your story, there's a lot of temptation right now to hide in an addiction. There are all kinds of addictions. And I appreciate that you are willing to share so transparently your journey through the addiction. And now, coming through it, there is a wisdom that you embody. And you happen to be a New Thought minister, and that's wonderful. And you happen to do all kinds of wonderful things. You're writing books, and I know you have yet another book that's being birthed. And I can personally say that the way that you write is easy to take in. Sometimes there are books that are really worthy in their own way, but I have to read the page 2 or 3 times sometimes to kind of, where is the beginning and the end of the sentence kind of a thing. And yours are very down to earth, and yet they've got the multi-layers, and you seem to show up on the pages as a person, which helps me show up as a reader to connect with what you're sharing. And like you just said with the new thought, we're all connected. So to experience that connection through the books, or whether it's a retreat or a presentation, it seems to be why we're here. It's like, we're connected. What a wonderful thing.
We're connected.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to segue. That you were talking about the 12 steps in New Thought.
Yes, my first book, what I did was I felt this call.
Mm-hmm.
And the call I felt, because by that time, upon graduation from ministerial school, I had fully and completely come to terms with the teachings of the 12 steps and the teachings of New Thought, and come to a place where there was no dichotomy there. There was no separation there. So that book popped out of me pretty fast upon graduation from ministerial school. And that brings up 2 points. One, if you are an aspiring author, if you think you have something to say, that's an invitation from a deep part of you. Call it God, call it your soul, call it your intuition, call it whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter what we call it. It's an invitation. And you're being issued the invitation because there's something valuable there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all that is needed to start speaking your word. And I have my own podcast, so I do it through the spoken word. And I speak on a regular basis at Centers for Spiritual Living and Unity churches all over the place.
Nice.
And I speak, of course, when I'm serving as an interim. But the written word, I write almost every single day.
Well, you have a wonderful blog also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when I read your blog, I kind of just feel like we're going places together, doing things together. We're eating together sometimes.
We're doing something on that blog, yeah.
Well, yeah.
The articles, well, some people get really activated when they read my stuff because I don't beat around the bush with things. I'm like right there with it. And that's been happening a lot lately, which tells me there is in this world right now a lot of fear swirling around in the world. And when that happens, people are easily activated. And what I mean by activated is they get upset, anxious, angry, sad, all those emotions.
Well, you communicate very transparently. And in order to really be with someone who is communicating transparently, if you want to be in kind, you have to be transparent, which means you have to deal with your shit. We don't always see that as a positive thing, but it is.
Yeah.
As long as we don't wallow in it, but it's our path of freedom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad that you're activating people, or your words, your blog, your podcast, your books, etc. Because right now, our society is very reactive right now.
Yeah.
And if we want to be a helpful influence right now, then we need to have worked through our reactivity in order for us to be grounded and sturdy and steady and to embody the peace that we long for in our world. So kudos.
Thanks. Thank you.
What's the toughest truth that you've faced in your own recovery journey, or maybe the one that you're still wrestling with? Thanks for sticking with me in this Straight from the Heart podcast episode. I hope something here challenged you in a good way, or just reminded you that you're not alone in what appears to be a mess. If you've got something you'd like to share, drop me a line. If you want to reach out to Karen Linsley directly, find her at KarenLinsley.com. That's Linsley. I'm Colleen Akiko, and this is We Be the Change, where we remember that changing the world begins by changing ourselves. Find bonus content, supportive options, and your free e-guide, Out of Your Head into Your Light, at songrise.live, songrise.live. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, thanks for keeping your heart open.